We've got some breaking news out of the association where it is never quiet and things are always popping. We're talking about Kevin Durant, who wanted out of Brooklyn via trade, and the team conversely trying to do everything they can to make a deal happen. Well, it looks like all of that is water under the bridge, because it looks like for now that Kevin Durant is to remain with the Nets. Both he and the team put out what looks like a joint statement saying this. The following statement has been released by General Manager Sean Marks. Steve Nash and I, together with Joe Tsai and Clara Wu Tsai, met with Kevin Durant and Rich Kleiman in Los Angeles yesterday. We have agreed to move forward with our partnership. We are focusing on basketball with one collective goal in mind: to build a lasting franchise, to bring a championship to Brooklyn. Then again, the Brooklyn Nets logo and the boardroom logo part there with Kevin Durant. All right, with the breaking news, we have our NBA analyst and coach, Avery Johnson. Look, Avery, I need a little help here because you need to translate exactly what that statement meant to me. What does it tell you about the current situation with the Nets and superstar Kevin Durant?
Well, first of all, I want to thank Kevin Durant and all of his representatives for giving us, 2 or 3 months of fun content that we can share on CBS Sports HQ, even though it ended up in a meaningless chat in a lot of ways. But I think what they found out is that Josiah had all the power, the Nets front office. Kevin Durant obviously tried to force his way out. It didn't work. The type of players they were receiving in return was going to significantly set the Nets back. Josiah, the owner, held his ground, and obviously, as of right now, he won because Kevin Durant, is going to be returning to the Nets. James Harden forced his way out of Brooklyn. He forced his way out of Houston. We've seen other players, guys like Anthony Davis force his way out of New Orleans. Kevin Durant tried it. It didn't work at this point. We'll see what the future holds. But at this stage of it, it looks like a lot of the NBA owners are cheering on Josiah right now, knowing that he didn't give in to Kevin Durant's demands.
It wasn't that long ago he signed that 4-year, sub-$200 million extension with the team. And again, dating back to sort of this drama, Coach, it was like KD was like, it's either me or it's Marks and Nash. If you're Steve Nash, how do you start maybe trying to rebuild the relationship, getting ready for a new year?
Yeah, it's not going to happen overnight because I think deep down inside, Kevin Durant probably still feels the way he feels in terms of, can I believe in this coaching staff? Can I believe in this front office? I don't think you're going to be able to repair it just in one conversation over dinner, especially for the last 2 months when, he was trying to force his way out of Brooklyn. So we'll see what happens the minute the Nets go on a 4 or 5 game losing streak. If, Kevin Durant's still going to hang in there and be loyal to this staff, both in the front office and on the sidelines. It's a tough business. I know Kevin Durant wants to win another championship desperately. But I just think we'll see what happens when adversity sets in. Right now, there are no games. There's no practices, no injuries. You lose 3 out of 5, 4 out of 5. They obviously are still not a championship caliber team right now, even with Durant coming back. They still need some more auxiliary pieces. They're not as good as Milwaukee and the Boston Celtics or the Miami Heat or even Philadelphia. So they still have a lot of work to do. And you got to figure out what's going to be Ben Simmons' status. Is he healthy and ready to go both mentally and physically?
And then what about Kyrie Irving and how he fits in all this? Obviously, there was talk about, well, KD's got to figure his stuff out before Kyrie can get into the mix, and now Kyrie's into the mix, and then we're waiting on KD. What do you think about that dynamic out there in Brooklyn?
Well, this should be like one of those daytime soap operas as the world turns. And we just don't know what's going to happen with Kyrie. Is he going to be available? And when I say available, I'm talking about playing, 70 or more games this year. Making sure that your best ability is your availability. Playing on back-to-back nights, playing through a little bit of pain. And if he and Kevin Durant can, play 72 plus games, what type of record is that going to generate for the Nets, and where are they going to land in the top 4 in the Eastern Conference? So, and we know this is the last year on Kyrie Irving's contract, so we'll see how that affects his play on the court and how many games is he going to participate in this year.
You know, with Kevin Durant, he's not too far removed from that ruptured Achilles. I think he showed us that he can still play, Coach. But what do you think about Kevin Durant? How do you evaluate him as a player, standalone from how you think Brooklyn as a team's going to do and the situation, obviously, with the drama, but just keeping it on the court as a player, where do you rank Kevin Durant among the league superstars at the moment?
Well, I still think he's top 5 for sure, top 3. This guy, 7 foot tall, can do it all. We've seen it. 2-time NBA Finals MVP. And, you know, if he can stay healthy, he's a guy that I have in my MVP conversation. I was basing that on him being traded to another team, but he's still capable, even with the Nets and with Kyrie Irving and the rest of this roster. But he's got to stay healthy. And if he can stay healthy and play in, 90% of the games this year, I think you can put him right there as one of the guys in the early MVP conversations, along with a guy like a Jason Tatum, Steph Curry. We know he's going to always be in that conversation. LeBron James. Those guys would be 4 of my top 5 in the early season favorites to win MVP.
Before I let you go, you hinted at how you view this Nets team, even with Kevin Durant, and where they rank among the NBA's elite and the Eastern Conference's elite. Right now at Caesars Sportsbook, they're middle of the pack. And again, Coach, they were the betting favorite for a third to half of the year last year and fell short of those expectations. Where do you have them ranked this year?
Yeah, again, I just think it's hard to elevate them in the top 4 of the Eastern Conference. The Celtics and the Bucks for sure. You can add Philadelphia, you can add the Heat. Because, defensively, the Nets haven't really shown that they can get stops consistently enough. They've been a team that's been a mainly one-on-one offensive team. We'll see if Ben Simmons can help them if he's healthy from a defensive standpoint. They re-signed Claxton. I thought that was a good move to get some rim protection. But, when you're playing guys like Seth Curry and Kyrie Irving, from a defensive standpoint, you're going to suffer. So we'll see if they can get enough stops. They're not as elite as some of those other teams on the defensive end. And we know it showed in the finals, you can't be a one-sided team. You have to be a balanced basketball team, more of a complete basketball team, offense, defense, and then special situations.
Never a dull day in the NBA. Avery Johnson, our NBA analyst, breaking it down. Coach, we certainly appreciate it. Thank you for the insight as always. Again, here is the statement released by the Nets in the boardroom jointly. Our following statement released by GM Sean Marks. Again, just to summarize, they met in LA yesterday and they've agreed to move forward with their partnership, whatever that is worth. But again, for now, Kevin Durant, who wanted out of Brooklyn, going to stay in New York City and try to win a ring with the current roster at hand.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.